That if Muslims went to war with non-Muslims, then the result of the war would be that if Muslims are victorious, they would pick up the spoils of war. All of the equipment that were left behind, the swords and the shields and the spears and the arrows and bows and all of that, but also the personnel. They would take the personnel as prisoners, as may happen at the end of any war. But in those days, there was not a developed prison system to deal with prisoners of war, and prisoners were taken in as slaves, and then the women were taken as captives and then allotted to the male soldiers or sold on the open market. If they were allotted to a male soldier, it was taken for granted that the male soldier would then have access to her sexually. Or it was taken for granted that the male soldier would then have access to her sexually.
So what is Islam's view on concubines?
Well, rather than say Islam's view, I'd have to dissect this now and say, okay, what does the Quran say? Because there could be Quran statements, there could be Hadith statements, there could be scholars' statements. And Islam often is thought to be like an amalgamation of all of these, and it gets confusing sometimes. So in essence, generally in classical Islamic thought, it is taken for granted that a Muslim man can have up to 4 wives at once. And in addition to the 4 wives, he can have an unlimited number of concubines, which refer to women who are basically have slave status. When they are owned by her master, a woman owned by her master has to freely give herself to the master. The master has the right to have sexual relations with her as though she were one of his wives.
And how does consent play into this at all, or can we understand anything about consent from this end? Does the female slave have to consent to that, or is it kind of because she's owned and so therefore?
In the classical thought, the understanding is that by virtue of the fact that she's owned, she does not have the right to consent. Or to withhold herself from her master. The master has the full right over her, and her consent does not play anything in this relationship.